What do we want? More rugby. When do we want it? Now! Welcome to week 4 of the All Things Rugby preview of the Quilter Autumn Nations Internationals. My name's Shanair, and we've got some very interesting matches for you coming up. So let's break them down. Game 1 of the weekend, and we are in Cardiff as Wales look to continue their win streak. Let's go, Wales! But unfortunately for them, they're going to be hosting the All Blacks, who are fresh off their defeat at England last week. So it's going to be an interesting one. Wales are obviously without Jack Morgan, who got injured a couple of weeks ago. They're now without Josh Adams, who got banned after his red card as well. So look, there's going to be a little bit of rotation, but we know that. The biggest one for them is probably going to be next week when they've got none of the URC players. So look, this is their best opportunity to get a good team out, last full run together before the Six Nations as well. So let's see what Tandy's got in the bag. And as for the All Blacks, obviously they're going to be absolutely gutted after last weekend, but I still think that this is going to be a great opportunity for them, even though it's Wales and even though they should win. I think they're going to get an opportunity to rotate a lot, and whether that's bringing someone like Ruben Love in to get some game time at fullback, whether D-Mac gets a start at 10, whether they get an opportunity to rotate through the rest of the pack as well. So, look, it's going to be a good game regardless. If New Zealand turn it on, it's going to be a spectacle for them. And if Wales front up, we're going to get some good rugby. It's only a few years ago we got to see them do a whole 15-man line-out as well. So I'd love to see some plays like that, but it's probably going to be an All Blacks win by at least 3 scores. Next up, we have the big game of the weekend and the showdown at the Aviva as the Springboks will be going over to Dublin to take on Andy Farrell's Irish men. Some good news for the Springboks as Motsert's red card got rescinded today, so he's going to be available to play. And hopefully, touch wood, if we don't get a red card, we should get 15 Springboks on the pitch. And if that happens, then I'm just going to feel sorry for Ireland. What we did see out of this Irish team last week was their attack come back together. Really good lines being run, really good shape like the old Ireland that we wanted to see with Mac in at 15. He's probably going to be starting there again. So look, this is definitely going to be the game of the weekend. At the moment, we haven't seen the team, so we'll be reviewing them as they come out. Over in Italy, they're going to be welcoming the South American qualifiers for the World Cup, Chile, which will be an interesting game. And again, like the other teams, Italy now get a chance to rotate as well. They've had some really good performances, all right? So like against the Box last week, that first 10 minutes was epic before the red card. And we did see in spells they were really good. We know how good their back row can be. We know how lethal that back line is as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they rotate players. There's a number of good young Italians coming through. Their under-18s just beat the Irish under-18s recently as well. So it'll be good to flood some of those players through as well. We haven't seen much of the Chile outside of the qualifier, so hopefully they get an opportunity to put out a real big, strong team. But regardless of who they put out, you'd still expect Italy to come out on top. We're going by Italy at least to score. The late game on Saturday night is going to be France versus Australia. I did a video during the week saying I do think this Australian team is tired but will come good. It is the back end of the tour. It is their last game after an incredibly long season. And I would love nothing more than to see this Wallabies team just go out with a bang. But I just think this French team is starting to tick over really nicely. We saw last week, even the forwards linking up with the wings. LBB just got nominated for World Player of the Year as well. So he's going to have a big old rocket up him as well. So look, I think it will be the game of the weekend to watch, even more so than the Ireland-South Africa one. I think both teams are going to want to move the ball. But I think the French are going to have too much for this one at the end of a long season for Australia. So we're going by France less than a score. 2 matches on Sunday for us as Scotland host Tonga in the early game. Now, Tonga obviously did really well in the Pacific Nations Cup and qualified straight away without having to go to the qualifying tournament over in Dubai. But we've also criticised Scotland quite a lot, and I'm sure that they're going to be on the back of, a number of criticisms from Scottish media as well. So look, I think he's probably going to put out quite a strong team rather than rotating just to prove a point and finish the tour on a good high note going into the Six Nations where, as I said, I criticised them during the week saying that they would have to start again. So I think Scotland are going to go strong. I don't think they'll rotate too much, and I'm seeing Scotland come out quite comfortable winners on this one. And the last game of the weekend is at Twickenham as England host Argentina. Now, we saw Argentina have a mighty old comeback last week, so I think they'll probably start with a stronger team because I don't think England would let them back into the game like that. I think England do have an opportunity to rotate even though they've won 10 in a row. I would love them to put out a strong side. Like I said about Scotland, right? I'd love them to just go strongest 15. But I think knowing Borthwick, he's got what he needed out. And he's probably confident enough that he can rotate and still get a win like he did in summer. So, look, off the back of the World Cup, with George Ford hitting all them drop goals, off the back of the third place playoff, off the back of a summer tour, I think England would have too much. That's not undermining Argentina by any means. When I've said this, I think they're a great side. But I think England are going in with such momentum at the moment. I'm seeing England win this, but it'll be a tight game. I'm also going to quickly round up the rest of the internationals, as we have got one really interesting game coming up as Georgia host Eddie Jones and Japan. Now, obviously, we saw what happened last week with Japan in Wales. We saw what Eddie said in the press as well about them not making the right decisions. He's going to have a real good training week. And we know that this Japanese side can play really unorthodox rugby and trouble teams. We haven't seen the best of Georgia, even though they got their wins. They haven't been the Georgian side of a couple of years ago that were fighting to get in the Six Nations. So this might be a close one. I think Japan might edge it. I would love Japan to edge it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia just go really old school, set piece, dominant up front. So yeah, tight game that I keep an eye on. Last week, the game that went unnoticed was Uruguay taking on the All Blacks 15. If you get a chance, jump on the Uruguay Twitter page. They put up such a performance and actually shocked that All Blacks 15. And even though they lost, they're really proud of what they did. I think they're going to be too strong for Romania, who lost to USA last week. So let's go Uruguay for this one. Last week, Spain narrowly lost out to an England A side that, you know, left it to the last minute. There was a couple of yellow cards in that game, like every other game last week as well. But this week, they're facing Fiji. And again, we've said it quite a lot. I think Fiji have got an opportunity to rotate in this game as well. We've seen how many players have come from that Drua side. You're probably going to get basically a Drua team versus Spain this week. And I think Fiji are going to be too strong for them. But let's see what Spain can do. And the last game of the week is going to be Portugal versus Canada. Neither team have performed particularly well, so if you are going to miss the game, this is probably it. I'm sorry to all the Portuguese fans, but they just haven't been the team that we wanted them to be after years. Their probably best bet is to wait until the Rugby Europe Championship to really rebuild and go again. So I reckon Canada might have enough for this one. So that's it. That's our predictions for week 4 of the Autumn Internationals and some other games. There is a round of the top 14 as well. So if you do want to follow along, make sure you follow us on all socials, on allthingsrugby.com, and make sure you download the Rugby app to stay up to date with all the happenings this weekend. My name's Shanair, and thank you for watching All Things Rugby.